helping you to weather good and bad economies without putting retirement on hold. This is the Tumolo Financial Podcast with Ken and Nick Tumolo. Ken and his son Nick know that creating a comprehensive financial plan can align your hard-earned life savings with your retirement goals. Consider them your retirement architects. Now, the Tumolo Financial Podcast with Ken and Nick Tumolo.
Does the 4% rule still work? The short answer is yes. And the thing that we really want to talk about, Nick, today was some of the, the pluses and minuses of it. Is it set it and forget it? Or is it basically, well, we got to adjust it as time goes? Because that's one of the biggest things that I've seen. But for a basic way of putting it, yeah, kind of still works. Research shows different numbers. I've read things that it was basically lower, other things that it was higher. So for an example, the new safe range, let's just put it that way. Morningstar back in 2025 said the new safe range is 3.9%. And then you go read another article from Retire Free. It was an app. And it said, well, roughly 3.3 or 3.7. So really, what is it? And when we're doing planning for retirement, the big thing I'm going to say is you really have to leave room for changes or things that happen. The unexpected happens. If you just based your plan on 4% and said, I'm going to take 4% out of my account every year and go right through retirement, guess what? A few things could happen. Market could go down for a bunch of years. That destroys the rule. Or something even worse. You need a roof on the house. Or car breaks down, or you get in a car accident. We all know that insurance doesn't cover everything. So now you're pulling more than 4% out of those accounts. So really when me and Nick are doing all this planning, we're basically also assuming for the unexpected. So my short answer, Nick, is really 4% rule kind of works, but fun with numbers.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a good starting point. So even the creator, he has adjusted his view too. Bill Benjen, he says now with his research, 4.7% is the withdrawal percentage. So, and I've seen the same thing. I've seen some people say anywhere from 3 to 4.5, even 3 to 5. I think I saw one with 5 a few years back. So that's why I say I think 4 is still a good starting point when you start looking at this. Just because I've had so many people. It really depends on your plan. It really should start at that point, because if you have Roth money versus IRA money, Roth money, it's tax-free. So if you're taking $50,000 out, you're getting exactly $50,000. Where the IRA, you're taking $50,000, you might be getting $35,000 to $45,000 of it, depending on your tax code and everything. So it really depends on your plan. If you're not getting taxed and you got more Roth money, you might be really truly getting 5% rather than 4%. So it is a good starting point. You really just want to look at the numbers at that point.
Yeah, Nick, one of the things that we hear is the 4% rule isn't as reliable today. So it's one, I'm going to say in advertising goes out, and people, social media, and people write articles all the time, and they want to be right. And numbers, you can actually set them certain ways and make yourself look right. But until it truly happens, we don't know it's going to happen. It's like the people that say, the market's going to crash tomorrow. Guess what? Eventually they'll be right. They might not be right today. So some things that happened over the past few years, inflation, 2022, they had to raise interest rates really quick to slow down inflation. And think about it. Things cost more. Okay. If things cost more, 4% coming out of your account might not cover what you need. Another reason when you're doing your initial planning for retirement, you want to bake in some extra and also bake in some inflation. This way, if inflation rises a little bit quicker than expected, you're still going to be okay going through retirement. That's why we always like to show the numbers. Lower expected returns. A lot of people, not everyone, when they get into retirement, in the start of retirement, they tend to get more conservative. And as they get older, they get even more conservative. It's just human nature. I'm holding on to what I have because I have to make it through retirement. And really what it is we run our 6-month reviews to just keep proving that people are okay. It's just making sure they see numbers so that they're comfortable spending. And longer retirements, we just live longer. It's just, we say, I think the average is 78 to 79 years old when you start to look at statistics, but that includes everyone. But we've got a lot of clients, Nick, that are 80, some that are actually 90 now. So people, I almost feel like people are just living longer. I mean, so the original rule back when they built it, we could argue it was a different economic world. But if I go all the way back there, I'm going to probably argue there were still the same problems back then.
Yeah. And what we're really saying is the 4% rule still works. It's under specific conditions. So what my dad just said, someone retiring at 65, I don't have a magic 8 ball. I don't know when your time is going to come, whether it's a few years or do you live to 100 and your money needs to last for 30 plus years. So that's where that 4% rule, sometimes you're like, okay, does it work for me? Does it not? Is the 4% rule still going to be advantageous for me 30 years down the road? The other thing too is you're probably not going to spend as much 30 years down the road when you get into your 90s. But you want to look at all these assumptions. And that's the big thing too. Look at the assumptions. They say 95% of the assumptions, that 4% rule does work. I'll even give you a perfect example. I had someone come in about 6 months ago, and he was worried about money running out in retirement, and not talking specifically about 4%, but just having money last throughout retirement. And his Monte Carlo simulation, he actually has $5 million, shows 99%. He was worried about that 1%. So it was just one of those things that, okay, the 4% rule does work for you, and it's going to most likely work 99% of the time. So it is under specific conditions when you start looking at these things.
You know, Nick, that 1% can actually happen. That's why it's one.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, and a lot of times when we think about it, it's really having those projections, being able to adjust, because where we see the 4% rule breakdown is someone comes in and they've built their own plan, or they're working with an advisor that built a plan for them. And they said, you got enough money to get through retirement. And we run the projections. And if one little thing happens, they actually are in trouble. For an example, sometimes we try to push the envelope a little bit, some of us, and we say, hey, we want to retire early. We want to retire at 55 or 50. And when you do things like that, you put more weight on that portfolio. And so now there's a longer chance of something going wrong. So you got to build the extra in. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to set this so that I'm not going to run out of money by drawing 4%, because things happen. I got to just stress that things happen. You got to replace your car. It's not going to last 40 or 50 years. Some people will just say, hey, I'll just adjust my spending if things get bad. I don't like that idea. Reason I don't like that is we want people to go into retirement and actually live their life and do everything. So when Nick and I and the team were building these plans, we always bake in extras. This way, if we do go through a bad downturn, they have other places to draw money from, and they don't have to adjust spending. So the idea is, build that plan so you can keep doing those things that you want to do. And then I'm going to add one more, just investment decisions. Years ago, I had someone come in, invested in one stock. It was actually a mutual fund, I should say that was kicking off a dividend. All of their money was in there, over $1 million in one mutual fund, because it's actually paying a real good dividend. And that's how they built their plan, built it themselves. I'm like, I don't know if I would be in one fund, but you know what? People do things their way sometimes. Unfortunately, I couldn't help that person. Hopefully it all worked out, but you can't count on just one fund, because the thing is if the market goes down or crashes and you're in one fund, that fund most likely will get caught up in systematic risk, and that'll go down too. So really it's set up that portfolio to withstand or weather the market, I'd like to say.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say too, having a modern strategy, flexibility beats precision. Things are going to change. Market conditions, economic conditions, tax code's going to change. So some of these things, the 4% rule might not work during high tax times or low tax times. It might be better. So these plans got to be able to adjust. And that's what I mean by flexibility. You got to be ready for those things. We do it all the time with even just like Roth conversions. Does it make sense to do this amount? It might not make sense in 5 years. So that 4% rule, yeah, I say it's a good starting point right now, but 5-10 years down the line, like I said, the creator has changed his way too. So you really do want to stay ahead of the time, be flexible with your plan. That's why we do our 6-month reviews. But in the close, I'm going to say the 4% rule, I don't think it's dead. It just grew up. There's some flexibility in it. So today, it should be looked at as a guideline. So a couple of key takeaways. Use the 4% rule as a starting point. If you want more safety, consider a withdrawal rate of 3.5 to 3.9% or lower if you're going to retire early. Have a flexible spending plan that adjusts. Build backup income like Social Security, your pensions, cash reserves, and also have an income strategy customized to you and your goals. So we can help. Just go to our website at tfcheckup.com or click the link below.
Investment advice offered through Tumolo Wealth Management, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Content contained herein should not be construed as an offer or solicitation for investment advice or for the purchase or sale of any security, insurance, or other investment product. Please consult with a qualified financial, tax, accounting, or legal professional before implementing any ideas or strategies discussed here.